Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Syngenta Canada, Alberta Wheat Commission, and C&M Seeds.
Disease is one of the things that you would test for, but there's a number of other things that you can look for in a seed test. And if you get that seed test, it's just a matter of then you know what you're dealing with in your seed. If you're buying new seed from a certified seed rep, seed grower, then you'll be able to get a lot of that information from them and you have an idea what you're doing. But if you happen to be using bin run seed, then you'll want to get that test done to know what you're putting in the ground.
And is it a bit about economics, because we could potentially prevent seeding something that shouldn't be seeded?
Well, absolutely, yeah. Like if you're putting that into the ground, you want to make sure that you have a good stand get established, and to do that, you want to make sure that you have good quality seed, so that throughout the season you're not dealing with disease issues, you're not dealing with spotty emergence where you'll have potential weed problems that'll be a problem throughout the year. So you want to make sure that you're getting your crop well established in the spring.
What could be wrong with the seed?
Yeah, it can be a number of different things that could limit germination or limit the quality of the seed. Some of those things there might be as simple as mechanical damage, whether that seed was broken up a little bit, whether through the combining process or excessive augering. It could have heat damage if the grain was dried and it was dried at too high of a temperature, or if it heated in the bin. If there was any touch of frost on the seed, that could potentially limit the quality of that seed going into the growing season. There could have been damage from midge feeding, and all of those things are different ones that can affect the quality of the seed. Some of them might be quite visual, some of them might not be. The glyphosate herbicide carryover would be another potential one where there might not be a visual cue unless that glyphosate was applied really, really early before it should have been. That's the only time you'll see it visually. Really, if you're planning to use the crop for seed the following year, glyphosate isn't recommended at all. The primary disease you'll be testing for is fusarium. The labs in the province and Western Canada will certainly test for other diseases as well. Fusarium is a primary one of interest, but with diseases what you're testing for is what the impacts it can have on the seed itself, an indication of whether or not a treatment will be recommended or absolutely necessary if they're using that seed, or if the seed shouldn't be used at all from the level of disease that is there. And from that disease test, you can get an idea too if you're potentially adding another source of inoculum to your soil, or even adding a potentially new disease if your seed's coming from somewhere else. So graminearum is a particular one that is a species of fusarium, and then the plate, it shows up something like this, pinkish in color, and to get that species identification, it really has to be done at a lab that's capable of doing that. But it is a problematic disease in the prairies, and you certainly don't want to be introducing it into new soils. And really, the seed will only tolerate very low levels of fusarium, graminearum, and fusarium species in general.
So you said that only a lab can see what species it is. Can we do any of this at home?
Well, so some of the things that you'd get tested for in a lab would be germination, vigor, disease, and the things like germination and even 1,000 kernel weight, those can be done at home, but they're also relatively inexpensive to get done at a lab. So whichever is easiest for you. Make sure you get consistent conditions in a lab so that everything is always treated the same. It's not too cool in the shop where it might be done otherwise. I would recommend getting tests done in a lab just because they are consistent that way, and they can get all that extra information like the diseases and the vigor if that is something of interest.
So how much of a sample do we send to the lab, and also where are these labs?
Well, you'd want to check on the internet and find out the lab's locations. The Saskatchewan Agriculture has a fact sheet on the website that lists labs across Western Canada, and we also had an article in the AgriView in February 2013 that listed all the labs specific in Saskatchewan. So get the list of labs, find one close to your area or one that you want to work with, and then contact the seed lab, and they'll let you know how much to send and how to get it there.
And when would be the best time to send in the seed that we're hoping to plant?
Well, you don't want to do it right after harvest. With wheat, it does have some dormancy built in, so you can get a false reading in your germination if you get it done too soon after harvest. So you want to put that grain into the bin, let it cool off, and let it sit for a few months. So once you get into the late winter, early spring season, then it'd be a good time to get that off to the lab.
Awesome, thank you so much.